Good morning, class. Now, sit down and shut up. Now, those of you with high natural perception have noticed that I'm not actually your teacher. Well done. I'm a substitute teacher. None of you are 5. You know what that is, you know what that means. A little bit about myself. I've got a master's degree in mythology. I have undergrads in anthropology and sociology, which naturally means I'm working for minimum wage. So instead of just handing out the busy work that you're assigned today, which appears to be a mass worksheet. Oh joy, I'm sure you're so excited. No, instead of that, I'm going to be doing something I actually care about today. I'm going to be talking about Dungeons, Dragons, and Mythology. Because if I'm being paid minimum wage, the least I can do is something I care about. Now, keeping in line with the theme today, we're going to be talking about dragons. The reason for that is this is Monster Week. What is Monster Week? Well, I'm glad you asked, random silent listener. Monster Week is a yearly community event established by Pointy Hat and Ginny D to bring together the tabletop RPG content creator community. Say that 10 times fast. It's an amazing opportunity for smaller channels to be seen and work together and do something amazing. And a greater opportunity for, well, say, a socially anxious guy recovering from a mental breakdown to do something creative again. You know, hypothetically, of course. Thank you, Pointy Hat and Ginny D, for this initiative. Anyway, back to pretending I don't have emotions. So, today we're talking about dragons. In particular, we are talking about the Thunderbringer. I'm going to put as many Epic the Musical references as I possibly can in here, assuming I don't pass out sometime in the middle of editing. Now, what are blue dragons? They're dragons that are blue. They're chromatic, which means usually they're bad guys. They are even, at times, the big bad guy. And, on occasion, they are the big bad evil guy. You know, when things need to get spicy. So what are they known for? Well, blue dragons are known to create lightning. They are, as I mentioned before, the Thunderbringer. They're incredibly fast. They like to vanish with a little bit of a sonic boom. Live out in deserts, anywhere high up, that they can kind of survey everything and everything seems below them. As someone who has a lot of short friends, I understand that feeling when you look out over everyone and everyone's just smaller than you. Makes you feel powerful, doesn't it? Anyway, these blue Abadida Badai dragons like to find places of importance, of power. Any type of tall spire, any type of abandoned city, any type of former temple, anything made by their cult of followers, because while a lot of dragons like to collect things, as a matter of fact they all do, they all have some form of OCD, blue dragons love to collect people in a kinda creepy way. They love followers, they love worshippers, they love people who work for them. Blue dragons are like certain unnamed billionaires, except blue dragons have some redeeming qualities. So, you have a general idea of a blue dragon. It is incredibly powerful, it's incredibly egotistical, very prideful, likes to have people worship them all the time, and they like to be above everyone else, both figuratively and literally. Now, where can we see something like that in mythology? I wonder, where in mythology could anyone possibly find someone who matches any of that criteria whatsoever? I wonder. Did I get the effect to go around the back on the board? Were they able to get that working? Future me? Is it working? Is it? I'm gonna assume it isn't, keep going. So, in mythology there are countless stories of gods. The ones that are particularly powerful tend to have some affinity with the sky. You have Thor. You have Thunderbirds. You have, of course, Zeus. Individuals that when they are angry, when they are angered, or brought to a point where they need to remind people exactly who's in charge around here, the sky lights up. Now, this is a common theme across a lot of different mythologies. There's a very good reason for that. You see, when a bunch of people a long time ago all huddled around a fire going oonga boonga trying to stay warm, and then the loudest possible sound in existence happened. A roar that split the sky. Night becoming day for just a moment, and all you can see around you is a briefly illuminated landscape, and the faces of your family and friends all filled with terror, possibly why they shit themselves. Naturally, early people are going to have stories to tell about that instance, and every single person from that point onward is going to have similar stories, because you see, no matter how good we get at pretending that we are above nature and we are so advanced and evolved, we still died to like one lightning bolt. Skill issue. Anyway, lightning is ever present around the world, and it is truly terrifying. To every civilization that ever had to live through a powerful storm, watch the buildings and monuments they constructed struck by lightning and brought low, they realized that no matter how advanced they were, there were still things higher than them. So naturally, the gods of these elements, the spirits that control the lightning and the thunder, they tended to take top billing, or at least pretty high up, in the pantheon. So we compare that to D&D. We have blue dragons that have a similar ideology of wanting to be seen, worshipped, noticed, cared about. They have powers over lightning and storms. We've checked that box as well. But are they at the top of the dragon hierarchy? I'm gonna have to go with no on that one. There's a very simple reason for that. You see, for us lowly little mortals living in the real world, said the snake-headed Gorgon substitute teacher, look, not every VTuber thing has to make sense. I like Gorgons, they're cool, I got nice hair that does this. You're gonna have to suspend some disbelief and just kind of stick with me on this one. Also, I need a reason to explain the mod lisp every once in a while. I'm me, I'm happy with me, I'm proud of me, I learned to love me, and I'm moving on. So, if all these stories of mythological figures that shoot lightning from the fingers have top billing or close to it in the pantheon, why aren't blue dragons more important in D&D? Why aren't they leading the dragon community? This is something blue dragons themselves very much want to know. However, there's another aspect you need to be aware of. You see, one of the reasons why lightning is so feared in the real world is because, for the longest time, the only access we had to it, the only type of interactions we'd have with lightning, is during a storm. A terrifying, devastating storm. One we'd have no control over, no chance of surviving head-on, and all we can do is just kind of hide and hope for the best. During this time, a lot of praying was done, like any time a plane loses any altitude. When the only access or interaction you have with something is during the scariest, most haunting moments, naturally, you're going to put a lot of emphasis on that, a lot of importance to it. But, in our world, fires are also terrifying. Ask literally anyone in California. Fires can be very destructive, they can be nightmarish, and there's very little you can do against them for the longest time in our civilization, in our history. But we can also create fire. We learn to harness it, we learn to use it, we learn to make things with it. Fire's been with us for a very long time, and we've gotten a little good at it. A lot of our technology is kind of fire-based. If you think about it, most of our big things are really, we did a fire in a different way to make a thing go boom, which made another thing happen. Like, if you think about it, our whole space program is very space orc coded. We kind of sit on a big stick, and then we make the stick explode a lot to go all up into space. I love my model kind of like breaks their neck a little bit there. Anyway, my lecture about how humans are basically space orcs is for another day. The point I'm getting at is we have access to fire, and we have limited rudimentary control over it. Because of that, different pantheons would carry their own fire gods, but they were very rarely the top of the pantheon. That's because people had access to fire, they had an understanding of it, they respected its power, they respected how useful and vital it was. With lightning, they couldn't understand it. It had that certain little je ne sais quoi, that I don't understand, that kangaroo, Google it, that kept people interested and fascinated. and its level of power and its mystery and its separation from the physical world made it something so much more. But in Dungeons & Dragons and many other tabletop RPGs, lightning is not that separate from the people. Wizards, druids, warlocks, sorcerers, clerics, all of these classes have access to lightning. They can cast it from their fingies and do amazing things like recreate the side of a van. In the D&D world, lightning was just another element that was harnessed by the people for their own ends. So it still had power, it still had this mystique to it, but it was not so alien, not so unattainable, not so separate from the mortal world, that they assumed it must be the tippy top of the world of the gods. So, blue dragons were viewed as dragons just like any other. Still very powerful, still very scary, but no clear, definitive hierarchy. Now, we've talked about blue dragons in D&D, we've talked about inspirations and connections to them in history, and mythology, and culture. But I still have one hyperfixation I haven't fed yet, and that's character creation. I'm going to leave you with some builds that you can run in your own games. If you're a DM, congratulations, this could be a blue dragon in disguise that your party has to figure out and maybe fight, maybe deal with, maybe like actually just follow. I don't know, it's not my campaign world, you do you. Or if instead you're a player who likes the idea of being able to shoot lightning from your fingies while being the Thunderbringer yourself, well then, here's a build for you. Now before I get into it, I need to address this. Now, it is very easy to just say, oh well, the race in this should definitely be a Dragonborn. Yes, it absolutely could. However, I want to do something that's a bit more different. Yes, the obvious answer is obvious. If you want to do that, by all means do that. But I want to leave plenty of wiggle room for people who don't feel like playing a Dragonborn and just want to play a dragon, say, in a different form. Or a person who has the feeling or mentality of a blue dragon. The second little disclaimer is that yes, each and every one of the builds, because I do plan to do one of these for all the chromatics, could also just be a draconic sorcerer. That could work, that could be fine. That could be hunky-dory, absolutely wunderbar for you. However, if you've already realized that, you already know that, and you could already work with that. And I'd be providing nothing by just going along with that. So here's another option. The way I see it, to play a very prideful, lightning-shooting dragon, you can have two ways of going about this. One, you're the type of proud individual who wants to be there in the thick of it. All eyes on you because you are demanding their attention, up in their face. You are the great hero of this moment. Now for that, I recommend a cleric. In particular, a Tempest cleric. With a Tempest cleric, you get good armor, a good martial weapon for which to do all the whacking of your enemies right in the face holes. And of course, with your channel divinity, you can do max damage. And why shouldn't a dragon be able to do max damage? If you decide to go this route, pick up as many zappy spells as you can. To help with this, feel free to pick up things like the Magic Initiative, where you can get the Sparky Finger cantrip. That's exactly what it's called, look it up. No one's gonna look it up. No one ever looks this stuff up. I'm good. It's fine. No one's gonna Google it and correct me in the comments below, right? You're not currently typing? Anyway, pick up a weapon, pick up a shield, not because you're gonna be cowering behind it, but because the longer you live, the more your enemy has to contend with your might and power. Now, you are technically calling on power of a higher divinity and a higher force to get this magic and lightning from, but young dragons do themselves tend to work for other incredibly powerful individuals, and they just do that for a time until they can pull some of their worshippers away onto themselves. Be a loyal little follower for now, and then take as many followers as you can with you when you are super powerful, lightning fingy person yourself. Wait, no, I don't like how I worded that. Person who can shoot lightning from the fingers. There we go. The other way you can play this is as an individual who is not quite so much in the front, but someone who is the charismatic leader. Eyes are on you not because you're charging into the fray, like a roaring storm, but because you demand their attention. If you go Storm Sorcerer, then you yourself can fly. You can embody that dream of a blue dragon to just take off and vanish in an instant. You can strike down lightning from above, which seems very mythological god Thunderbringer code. It also allows you out of combat to be very persuasive, encourage people to see things your way. You could even take the feat that allows you to give a little bit of a speech to rouse your minions and followers. I mean your friends. Your adventuring party and friends. They're not minions, that would be cruel. Who would do that? No. No, these are your adventuring party companions. All equals here. Command your minions. Make them fight for you. And give them a little bit of temporary HP to keep them alive and send them out the door with a sandwich and a kiss on the forehead. So, you now have a little bit of information about blue dragons and how they do what they do. You now have a little bit of a real-world look at Thunderbringers. Why people care about them, why they usually take up high rankings in their pantheons, and why blue dragons didn't get the same treatment. And if you yourself like the idea of being an incredibly powerful lightning-shooting force of nature, I've given you a good start to work with. I don't want to give you a blow-for-blow build, because that takes away your autonomy and your choice. I'm giving you an idea. Build it the way that you want to, the stats that you enjoy playing with, the items you enjoy swinging around, the way you want to play, because that is the wonder of tabletop RPGs. You get to become someone else and live a wonderful life through new eyes. Can't imagine why the Vtuber enjoys that concept. Nope, no idea why. Once again, thank you to Pointy Hat and Ginny D for this wonderful initiative, and helping me be creative again. Wait, nope, forgot. No emotions, just loud talking VTuber. Anyway, well, that's all the time I have for today. Hope you enjoyed the content. Check my channel for more. I intend to make more videos later on about the other chromatic dragons. If there's particular content that you want to see, let me know. If I made a mistake, oh boy, I'm sure you're telling me right now in the comments. And I will get to those as soon as I can. Anyway, good luck and have fun out there.